You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Omondi Otieno.
The importance of strong public institutions goes much far beyond academics. We know that education and innovation are the backbone of a country's future. As we are headed to the next year's general elections, are the academicians playing their part right to ensure that the public places their cards right in the next year's poll? It is the discussion you're having tonight with Ade Charles. So, Charles, yes, thanks so much for dedicating your time for this discussion. You may introduce yourself to viewers, they get to know who Ade Charles is.
Thank you so much. I'm called Ade Charles. I'm a political analyst. As a career, I've pursued public health informatics.
Right.
Yes.
So, right into the discussion.
Yes.
Now, what is the role of academic institutions in shaping the policies of our nation? And now narrowing down to Kenya, are our academic institutions playing their part as it should in the policies of our nation?
Yes, thank you, Brother Ken. However, how much they have tried, but it is not up to how it should be. Because when it comes to this public institution, they have not inculcated what is required fully. For example, public institution needs to have people like psychiatrists, because we've realized that in these public institutions, we have got cases of depression. We have cases whereby, even the students needs counselors. And some of them, at times, they fall sick, and they are not handled in a proper way by correct people. Because the only thing that we know, that most of these public institutions have got only teachers and the students. And therefore, the government has got a big role. Even if it is a matter of, initiating these people within a given, I know it may be a bit difficult, to put each and every school a psychiatric or a counselor or a health professional. But at least the government needs to assign a given number of schools, even at least one. And these people need to be installed, permanently employed, so that at least we may have these cases properly handled with correct people. Because not every teacher is in position to be an advisor, to counsel a student. Some of them, the only thing they have is to go to class, teach students, and go to their houses. And therefore, it is right time for this category of people to be initiated and involved in this sector.
Right.
Yes.
Now, you talked about psychiatrists and probably counselors.
Yes.
But then we are headed to the next year's general elections, and you see the policies you're having in the country that some of them have negative effects, and some of them, of course, positive for this nation. So that is what I was asking. Do you think now the academic institutions are playing their part? Are they really, trying to bring the public into speed? Like, now this is what we need to do. These are the kind of laws that we need to have for the nation. These are some of the laws that we need to abandon for the nation, for the better of the future of the country.
They have not fully done it to the perfection.
Right.
And therefore, it calls for this category of people that I'm trying to bring for you, so that they become part and parcel of this, so that as we move forward together, as we teach our students, as we involve politicians in all this, then we know that the correct people are handling correct persons.
Sure.
That is
right.
Yeah.
Now, academia goes far much beyond learning institutions.
Yes.
So, what are other organizations that are probably responsible in trying to bring policies that are right for this country?
It's good, Brother Ken, for that question, and I would say that these public institutions, some of them, or rather this international organization, if we talk about the NGOs, if we talk about these politicians, if we talk about like the UN, they have measured on certain factors that do not inculcate when it comes to this public institution, these educational learning institutions. Like NGOs, it is right time that NGOs now should come out, and then after coming out, and then they bring for us good policies in these sectors, not only measuring on the community development,
right,
but they should be part and parcel of what is going on in schools. They should be part and parcel of what is going on in our political world, so that when we are coercing the whole society, the whole country, then we have a better result.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I would want us to talk about a policy that was being introduced back in 2011.
Yes.
That was a decree requirement for legislators, which
Yes.
was tabled in 2011.
Yes.
And we saw it face criticism from the parliamentarians, and it was pulled back. It did succeed. So what does this tell you about the kind of leadership you're having in our country?
What happens that clearly comes out is that these leaders have lacked faith even in their level of education, in such a manner that there's no transparency in the sector. There's nobody who is ready to give out what he scored or what he had gotten back in school. What am I trying to bring in? I'm simply saying that Kenya has become a country whereby people think about wealth creation than even education. And remember, what happens that comes out very clearly is that when it comes to wealth creation and education, they should go hand in hand. People, some of these politicians or some of these leaders think that they go for money first, education comes later.
Right.
And what normally happens that clearly comes out is that, I'm not denying or rather dismissing, but some leaders have a second thought, and they always say that leadership is geared towards a service delivery to the people, but not looking at the level of education. But I would say that if you take the two aspects, they go hand in hand. And therefore, if you think of education and you think of also creating wealth, you think also about leadership, then these three things need to be brought together, and you forge or move forward together with them, and any of them should not be dropped or left outside. And therefore, if these our leaders will get this, and I'm very, very candid on this, that let's also pursue education in our leadership.
Right.
Yes.
Now, based on what you're saying, Charles,
Yes,
because we really need to have education being given priority in our leadership.
yes,
And according to how the bill was, criticized with the parliamentarians.
yes.
So, what do you think some of the stuff that should be done to ensure that leadership and education, they go hand in hand to ensure that the policies are made by the right people who have met standards in making the policies that are right for the country?
Okay, number one, I would say let us trust God that we get correct leadership.
Sure.
Number one, because Kenya as a country itself, if I would confine myself, it has become a country whereby, if you don't support the government of the day, then you are not part and parcel of what is going on.
Right.
And Kenya has become a country whereby if you candidly come out to bring policies that is geared towards improving the whole society, and then you don't support the government of the day, then you are an outcast. Quite unfortunate. And therefore, we need to have policies that have been implemented, good policies that are implemented to run this sector, so that we may not have a lot of stories. We have seen them going around, and I think this one would help us as a country.
Right.
Yes.
Now, I would want us to take an example of what we've seen, and it's in the public domain. Example of politicians in Kenya. On the 29th of September, EACC, that is 2016, EACC reported Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi to be having fake academic papers. And the same happened to Hassan Joho. We've also seen it with the former Kiambu governor, Waititu. So they were all clear to run for office. And then after they've been in office, we come to hear stories that someone he didn't qualify, his academic papers are questionable. So what does this tell us about the quality assurance and the electoral bodies that cleared these people to run for office, despite them having papers that are compromised?
What clearly comes out, Brother Ken, is that there's no truth and transparency when it comes to these sectors, these quality assurance sectors, when it comes to looking the papers and other things. This has been caused by, the government, I would say so, because what normally happens is that you'll find these institutions, they are trying to bring in people that are not clearly with their papers, and then they are allowed even to run for these seats. For example, the ones who mentioned, the likes of Honorable Kasudi, talk about not Waititu, not Joe. Remember, these are people who previously they had been even elected.
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
And they're serving.
Yeah.
So it comes a case whereby, why is it just right now? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself.
Right.
Because if they never met the threshold of what was required previously, before they go to these seats, then why is it now? And that's why I'm starting blaming the quality assurance, that in one way or the other they have not been in position to perform their duty accordingly.
Right.
And therefore the government should clearly come out and then ensure that when it comes to transparency on what a politician or what anybody who perhaps needs to have a political seat or is bidding for any seat, then he must ensure that he meets the threshold that is required.
Right.
Yes.
Now, thank you so much, Charles, for that. Now, let's take a leap into the 2022 election, the politics of 2022.
Yes.
Now, we have seen leaders, the aspirants for the top seat, coming up with strategies and plans for the better. Of course, you need to woo voters on their camp.
Yeah.
So, trying to look at the strategies and the plan they're having. So, what do you think would work best? Who do you think has plans that would really work best for the betterment of the nation moving forward?
I may laugh because most of these politicians, we are used to them, tumewazoea, because each and every day they come in or in the process of vying or doing their campaigns, they promise us heaven. But the truth to be said, some of them deliver earth. Quite unfortunate. As they come, they promise us big, at the end of my five-year term, before 5 year ends, I shall have done this, I shall have done this. And you know them, even some by names that I don't want to mention. But what normally happens is that we need to stop repeating these leaders who, in one way or the other, they have got scandals. And this is the time that Kenya needs to come out. Why? Because we gave them a chance as the citizen, remember, so that they do what they promise us. But at the end of the day, we realize that he has not done. They have not done what they promised us. So it is high time that we need to come out and stop them. And we say that we gave you a chance so that you may do what you had promised us. But we've realized that you failed.
Right.
At the end of the day, we shall not recycle you, or neither don't think of another thing apart from what we have given you.
Right. Because
there's no room for improvement in politics. I don't want to say there's room for improvement because this politician will remain to be politicians.
Right. But then, Charles, some other people may argue that better the devil you know than the angel you don't know. So what do you say about this?
Okay, concerning that, I would bring it in this perspective. Let us not bring the devil in politics. These are human beings who have been given an opportunity to perform, and they have failed. And remember, some of them, they are higher professionals, and we trust them with these offices. And therefore, I cannot say that, at the end of 5 years, as a professional, leave alone even you being elected in that position, as a professional yourself, you are not in position to deliver to the people. Then we shall be lying to ourselves. And let us just say the truth. And I'm very, very candid on this. Let us say the truth to Kenyans. And let us not please them at the end of the day, because some of them, we take advantage that they are illiterate, they are ignorant, they have not gone to school. So as we bring for them, cheap dodos and other things, then we think that this is the way forward. It is not the way forward. And number 3, Ken, that I want to bring in, I had Professor Pino Lumumba speaking in a conference, and then he was talking about the Magufulification. The Magufulification, it was just but like a slogan that was brought in Tanzania to ensure that these corrupt leaders, once you are in any scandal, proven beyond doubt that in one way or the other you did this and this and this, then these people should automatically be removed from the line of politics or being employed in any government institution, be it even just an area chief. They should not appear anywhere, so that we know that these people are not correct for us, because we gave them a chance at one point, and then they have failed us. They have only gone to those offices to have candles, to disappear with public resources. Quite unfortunate. And therefore, if we can admit and have the magufullification, whereby these politicians that are found culpable of scandals, of corruption, should not be allowed to vie for these positions. Yes.
Now, talking about the magufullification, do you call it
the magufullification?
Magufullification.
Yes.
Right. Now, how is it? Now, how can we really move as a country to hold these people who have been into the public offices, some of them being involved in the scandals and stuff, to hold them accountable, and probably on the same note, the promises that they make to the people and fail to deliver? How can we hold them accountable for everything when it comes to the national politics?
One of the things that clearly comes out is that the country calls for a very strong opposition leadership. And you know the role of an opposition leader.
To keep the government
on toes. In that they act like whistleblowers when there's a problem somewhere in the government. And let us not corrupt opposition leader. They also hold very critical position in the government. And if we dilute an opposition leader, whereby you realize that an opposition leader, instead of standing firmly enough to defend the citizens on something that is wrong, that is going in the government, then you realize that in one way or the other they support the government of the day. I don't think if that clearly gives a description of what an opposition leader is. An opposition leader should come out and they have their firm standstill. Yes. And they say that this is wrong and it needs to be addressed this way, so that the government of the day knows that however how much we shall not be in position to do what we were required to do, there's a whistleblower that will blow it to the citizens. And therefore the opposition leader should come out very clearly and stand firm to oppose the wrong that the government is doing. Number two, we should not accept cheap things from this politician at the end of 5-year term. It comes a case whereby after the end of 5 years tenure, then a politician come back, then he would wings you with 50 shillings, 100 bob, and then you say that this is now the way forward. You think that 50 bob will serve for the rest of 5-year term. It is right time to come and stop such leaders, and we look into leadership and service delivery, not being pleased, not being hoodwinked with being lured into these shoddy deals of these bidders or these political aspirants, so that they know very, very clearly that however how much I elect my leader, then at the end of the day, my grievance is represented. Yes.
Right. That's so interesting, Day Charles. Now, as we wind up this discussion,
yes,
I would really wish that you give at least some word of advice to the youth and the general populace at large as we are headed to the next year's general elections.
Thank you so much, viewers. And I will pray so hard so that we maintain the unity. Let us, tribal politics, do not divide us. Remember, Kenya as a country itself is more bigger than an individual. Let's embrace unity, let's love one another, and let's work together at ensuring that at the end of the year, I know, Brother Ken, we are approaching the eve of politics and elections, and a lot that may be negative or positive may be expected, but it is my wish that it is high time Kenya we come out very clearly, and then we unite one another, and then as we cast our vote to elect these leaders, then let us elect leaders who would represent us and ensure that our grievances are properly aired. And whatever thing that we ask from them at the end of their tenure, then at least 1 or 2, 3, if not 5 is delivered.
Right.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Charles, for your time on this discussion.
Yes.
We've really learned a lot from you, and we really wish that we have you here again and again.
Thank you.
We analyze politics so
Yes.
that everything is made right. The public can place their cards right
Yes.
when it comes to the polls day.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, now that has been Ade Charles, a political analyst, giving us his viewpoint on the 2022, of course, politics from the academic angle.